Incredible revelation, father strikes daughter on 15th birthday, police and dog uncover hidden. Mia Johnson was supposed to feel excitement on her 15th birthday, a sweet spot between childhood and the cusp of adulthood. Instead, all she felt was dread and resentment simmering beneath the surface. The smell of cake wafted through the house, a false promise of a happy celebration, while her heart raced with the familiar tightness that accompanied her father's unpredictable moods. Steve Johnson, a man whose own dreams of grandeur had crumbled beneath the weight of reality, had always taken his frustrations out on those closest to him. Today would be no different. "Why can't you just be normal?" he barked, the tremor in his voice sending shudders through Mia. Her heart sank as she braced for the storm that always followed his criticism. The echoes of his harsh words wrapped around her like a noose, squeezing tighter until she gasped for air. With each passing minute, the tension grew unbearable. Mia was desperate to escape but knew that running away never truly solved anything. It was as if she was caught in a web of conflicting emotions: anger, fear, and the painful longing for a father who once embraced her with kindness. She quickened her pace, squeezing her eyes shut against the tears that threatened to spill over. Then came the moment that would change everything. In a blind rage, her father's hand flew through the air, slap resonating against skin. Mia staggered back, the sting like fire, but the emotional pain cut deeper. Time stilled. The birthday candles flickered, and she inhaled a sharp breath, a paralyzing shock washing over her. She turned to flee, her feet pounding against the wooden floor as she raced through the door and into the dense woods behind their rundown home. The sanctuary of the forest enveloped her, and Mia felt a fleeting sense of freedom until despair clawed at her from inside. Heart racing, her mind spiraled downward, reflecting not only on the pain inflicted by her father, but also the whispers of secrets buried deep in her family's history. The unresolved stories of her grandfather, ruined by unmerited accusations, echoed like haunting whispers in her subconscious. What kind of family held together such darkness? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the fading light filtered through the trees, Mia stumbled upon an abandoned dog, thin and scruffy yet radiating warmth and loyalty. She named him Scout, her only companion in this moment of solitude. With each gentle nuzzle against her leg, a bond formed, igniting a flicker of hope in the depths of her heart. But with every moment spent in the woods, the reality of her situation tightened around her. Faced with the reality of her father's violence and the possibility of uncovering the long-held secrets of her family, Mia felt the weight of her grandfather's damaged legacy pressing down heavily. Did she have the courage to sink the knife deeper into the family wounds, to seek justice that might tear apart whatever fragile connection remained with her father? The tension within her began to swell, an impending storm of defiance and fear. An unexpected phone call shattered her moment of clarity. "Miss Johnson, we need to talk. We've uncovered something that changes everything." Mia's breath caught. Questions spiraled in her mind. Could this be the key to breaking free? With Scout's unwavering presence by her side, she steeled herself for whatever lay ahead. The road unwound before her, each twist threatening to reveal both her family's darkest chapters and the truth about herself, a truth she both coveted and feared. Mia's heart thudded, an irregular echo of her anxiety, as she paced in the sun-dappled woods with Scout barely a step behind her. The combination of impending revelations and her father's fury twisted like a vine around her thoughts. Each rustle of leaves felt amplified, foreboding. When the phone call had disrupted her quiet retreat, she felt both terror and a surge of curiosity rush through her. It wasn't just a connection to the outside world, it had the potential to unearth the very roots of her family's turmoil. Who were they to uncover something that could alter the course of her life? What did they know that she didn't? As she sat on a fallen log, pulling Scout closer, she wrestled with her emotions. Memories of laughter and love, overshadowed by her father's abusive hand, flitted through her mind like moths drawn to flame. The question remained: would confronting this dark legacy serve to empower her, or would it lead to a deeper rift with her father, a man she still wanted desperately to redeem? Scout leaned into her side, pulling her back to the present, and as she scratched behind his ears, a thought edged forward: what if this revelation was more than just uncovering old wounds? What if it also provided clarity and an avenue for healing her own sense of self? Her phone buzzed again, the intense vibrations a reminder that decisions loomed ahead. Mustering her courage, Mia pressed the call. The voice on the other end was somber yet compelling. "Mia, it's Detective Hargrove," he began. "We found something significant relating to your grandfather's case. You need to be ready for a long conversation." Every word spoke directly to the storm brewing inside her. The distance between family loyalty and personal truth was a chasm she could no longer ignore. The fears she had carried for so long, the secrets that plagued her dreams, had the potential to be revealed, but at what cost? "I'm ready," she said steadily, surprising even herself with the strength of her conviction. Each word reinforced her desire to seek justice, to lift the heavy veil of despair that had hung over her family. The conversation ahead was not merely about uncovering the truth, it was about understanding why her father had fallen into the shadows of violence and how she could prevent being consumed by it herself. Mia promised herself that she wouldn't let fear dictate her actions anymore. Leaving behind the weight of her father's expectations, she needed to carve her own path, one illuminated by truth, however painful it might be. She felt an unfamiliar sense of resolve beginning to pulse through her as she prepared to confront the darkness that had shaped her family. With Scout faithfully by her side, she stepped away from the protective embrace of the woods, venturing back toward the home that had once felt like a prison. The air felt charged with a new energy as she walked, each step a message to herself declaring that change was not only possible but essential. Yet, as they neared the end of the path, a chilling thought flickered: what if the truth was worse than anything she could imagine? What if uncovering her family's secrets would thrust her into an unforgiving battle, one she wasn't prepared to fight? The approaching dusk painted the sky in ominous hues, echoing the uncertainty swirling in her gut. Mia clutched Scout tighter, already feeling the weight of the family legacy pressing upon her shoulders. The countdown to her reckoning had begun, and she would soon have to decide how much of the past she was willing to unearth. But the feeling of inevitability tingled at her spine as she sensed she was edging closer to a confrontation that would not only shake the foundations of her family but also redefine her understanding of who she truly was. The looming question echoed in her mind: was she ready to confront her father, or would the fight bury her deeper in the shadows? The moment was approaching, and with a deep breath, she steeled her nerves for whatever awaited her at home, the boundaries of her newfound resolve hanging by a thread. As she pushed the door open, the air thick with unspoken tensions, she knew the confrontation would shatter the silence. It was time to face the truth. As Mia stepped inside, the familiar scent of musk and old wood wrapped around her like a shroud, igniting a blend of nostalgia and dread. Scout trotted ahead, tail alert, sensing the shift in her energy. The house, which had once heralded warmth and security, now morphed into an arena of potential confrontation. Each creak of the floorboards underfoot reverberated in her chest, making her acutely aware of her heart's frenetic beats. She searched for her father and found him hunched over the dining table, a cluster of unopened mail strewn across its surface. The sight of him, his rugged hands weathered and clenched, indexed every emotion she had grown to entangle with her existence. Unruly anger, exhaustion, and maybe even regret danced behind his weary eyes as he looked up. "Mia," he acknowledged, barely lifting his head. His voice carried with it a weight that bonded worry to denial, as if he was acutely aware of the storm brewing between them. "Dad, we need to talk," she stated firmly, channeling every ounce of courage she possessed. The direct approach felt fragile, and yet she had no appetite for veiled attempts to breach the truth. He stiffened, the room thick with unfulfilled expectations. About what? Your little adventures. His tone was taunting, stoking embers of resentment that kindled in her chest. No, not about that. Her words cut through like a knife. It's about Grandpa. I spoke with Detective Hargrove today. He found something significant concerning Grandfather's case. His expression twisted, an inscrutable mixture of annoyance and fear. Is that what this is about, Mia? You think you can fix things by stirring the past? His voice faltered, revealing a deeper fragility that she had often overlooked. Fixing means knowing what happened. Each phrase emerged more resilient, as if speaking it aloud quelled her underlying doubts. Don't you want to know? Isn't that why you've ignored it for so long? Why you've been angry? A flicker of vulnerability appeared in his eyes, but he quickly masked it. You're too young to grasp what you're asking. His dismissive tone rang hollow, but Mia felt the truth of their past beckoning louder than ever. Then help me understand. She insisted, her emotions flooded with clarity. Your anger, your wounds, and I'm held captive by them too. I want to break this cycle. I want to know the truth. At her call to action, the tension in the air erupted. You know nothing. He roared, slamming his fist on the table, causing a few papers to flutter away like startled birds. You're not ready for the truth, Mia. The fury in his voice rattled her, but it also catalyzed her resolve. It would have been easy to retreat, to fall back into the patterns of avoidance that had defined so much of her upbringing. However, something deeper within her stirred, bolstered by the courage she had summoned earlier. Maybe I am ready, she replied, her voice steady but daring. The question is, are you? For the first time, she saw the chink in his armor, a hint at the weight he bore beneath the facade of a hardened man. Mia felt the truth of this moment, a potential pivot that could either sever the ties of fear or bind them in further shame. His silence consumed the room, the air crackling with tension. You have no idea what that will unleash, he finally said, his voice almost vulnerable, haunted by unspoken histories. Mia's heart raced with the realization that she was approaching a threshold, a chance to confront not just her father, but the legacy of silence that surrounded them. The possibility of either awakening deeper shadows or casting them away lay in the balance. She had to know where the trail led. With each passing moment, the weight of her choice began to lift as she steeled herself for the revelations she would uncover. And still, the question hung above them, what family secrets lay buried beneath the anguish, waiting to corrode the fragile bridge she was building? Would the truth emerge and provide the clarity she sought, or would it trigger a devastating implosion, shattering everything she knew? The unsettling answers danced, tempting in their darkness even as she pursued the light. The silence pulsed heavily in the space between them, a tangible force that amplified every unspoken word. Mia felt her skin prickle under her father's gaze, his eyes a tempest of conflicting emotions. It was as if she was adrift on a fragile raft in an unpredictable sea, unsure whether the waves would carry her to safety or pull her into darkness. I'm ready, she reiterated, infusing her words with an unwavering determination that surprised even herself. She had always tiptoed around contentious issues, a dance of avoidance that exhausted her spirit. Yet, in this confrontation, she sensed an uncharted well of strength stirring within her, a radical shift in her identity from a passive bystander to an active participant in her own narrative. His face hardened, walls of resistance springing up higher than before. You don't understand the stakes, Mia. This isn't just about family history. It's about survival, about protecting what's left. His voice wavered slightly, betraying a hint of fear that made Mia's resolve sharpen. I've spent years living in the shadows of your anger and pain, she shot back, her pulse quickening with righteous indignation. You think you're protecting me? But that keeps us both shackled to a past we're terrified to confront. I refuse to let the weight of those secrets dictate my life anymore. Her father's brow furrowed deeply, muscles in his jaw tightening as he weighed her words. A fleeting moment of vulnerability crossed his features. It was a flicker of the man before despair had carved him into a reluctant guardian of silence. For so long, Mia wondered who he really was when the world wasn't watching. Was he a monster, or merely a man lost in grief? "I'm not asking for permission," she continued defiantly. "I need to know what happened, what he went through, the choices that led to this festering wound in our family. This isn't just about you and me, it's about the generations that followed. I want to let his memory be reduced to whispers and hushed tones." Her father's expression hardened again, but not without the tremor of a whispered plea. "You're naive, Mia. The truth can cut deeper than you imagine. Are you willing to bleed for it?" The rawness in his challenge ignited a primal urge within Mia. This was no longer simply about uncovering the truth, this was about dismantling a legacy of fear that she had learned to accept. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes," she said, her voice cracking slightly but holding steady, radiating a gravity of purpose that anchored her. Scout, sensing the surge of emotion, moved closer, nudging her leg with his snout, grounding her amid the emotional uproar. She took a deep breath, seeing not just her father before her but the specter of grief that haunted him, a ghost intermingled with the very fibers of their existence. "What if the truth damages more than it heals?" he asked, almost desperately. "Then we'll face that damage together," she replied firmly. "We must. I can't carry the weight of the unknown any longer." It was a declaration that reverberated through the din of their quiet war. Holding her father's gaze, she sensed the ground beneath them tremble, inviting them to a distinct breaking point. A floodgate ready to burst open. Finally, he lowered his gaze, defeated yet contemplative, as if held in awe of the fire she had ignited. "You really want this?" "I do," she replied, the quiver of her voice a testament to her sincerity. "Not just for me, but for all of us." The gravity of her words weighed between them as the air shifted, reality was fracturing, unveiling a labyrinth of truths waiting for exploration. Mia could feel her past and present colliding, forcing her to take a leap of faith. As they stood there, suspended in uncertainty, the echo of her resolution beckoned another question. What awaited them in the shadows of the buried truth, and would they emerge unscathed, finally liberated from the ghost of their shared trauma? A whisper of anticipation teased at the edges of her mind. There were pieces of the puzzle in the detective's files, but would the truth truly set them free, or merely plunge them deeper into despair? Mia stepped away from the penetrating weight of her father's gaze, the air thick with tension as she tried to comprehend the path unfolding ahead of her. A surge of adrenaline coursed through her veins, stirring a newfound awareness that could only be described as exhilarating. It was the thrill of confronting long-buried secrets, a stark confrontation with the past that had cast a shadow over her family for too long. "Scout," she called softly, patting her loyal dog's head. The familiarity of the furry companion who had been at her side through countless trials soothed her swirling thoughts. "We need to see those files now." Their small loft began to feel confining, walls closing in while the memories seeped through every crevice. Mia grabbed her jacket, determined to leave their tense standoff behind her. The air outside felt electrified, as if the universe echoed her internal shift. Each step propelled her forward, steering her deeper into the tumult she had long avoided. She paused at the threshold of their home, recalling the conversations she had overheard over the years, the whispered accusations and the hushed tones that had woven the fabric of her upbringing. It was time to unravel that fabric, thread by thread, and see what truly lay beneath. With Scout bounding beside her, she set her sights on the small office where she knew the detective's files lay nestled among a hodgepodge of forgotten memories. The key turned with a satisfying click. The room smelled of dust and neglect, a place where heavy secrets hid in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to face them. Mia's heart quickened as she fumbled through the clutter, unearthing papers that hinted at a different version of her family's history, one where decisions made long ago continued to echo in the present. She rifled through files, anxiously scanning for any hint of clarity. It was a chaotic shuffling of narratives, each paper revealing more about buried truths and half-told stories. Suddenly, a series of photographs slipped out, catching Mia's eye. She thumbed through them, her breath hitching in her throat. Grainy images of her father as a young man, laughter mingled with shadowed faces that were her family members, all smiling against a backdrop of muted celebrations. A flicker of nostalgia swept over her, but as she turned each sheet, unease settled more heavily within her. There it was, undeniable evidence of a life curiously intertwined with both joy and sorrow, a narrative she had never been told. She tore free from the spell of the images and pushed forward, unearthing a file labeled simply "The Incident." Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing reports, notes, and witness statements that painted a vivid picture of the darkness that had overshadowed her family's past. Each line read like an accusation against the silence her father had enforced for far too long. The words were sharp, caustic reminders of pain that could not be erased. Mia felt her resolve deepen. This was not just a quest for truth, it was a reclamation of her identity shaped by years of denial and fear. Scout repositioned himself at her feet, sensing her distress. Mia took a deep breath, resolve solidifying within her. She understood now that the apprehensions of her father, while rooted in love, were also paralyzing, stunting the growth of both their spirits. This truth could ignite the healing process she had desperately sought. Mia, Scout's bark broke through her thoughts, snapping her back to the present. She looked down to see him tilting his head toward the door, his instincts alerting them to an unexpected presence outside. Her pulse raced, the shift in the atmosphere hinted at confrontation and external reckoning echoing her internal struggle. Who stood there? Would it be her father, ready to oppose her newfound determination? Or perhaps the embodiment of their past, a voice she had not anticipated facing just yet? With tumult swirling inside her, Mia took a step toward the door, heart pounding. The moment had arrived. She gripped the handle tightly, grounding herself. It was time to confront whatever awaited her on the other side, the truth, the unresolved, the unknown. Would it further shatter her world or catalyze the release she craved? The truth had never felt so alive, so precariously close. Mia inhaled sharply, her fingers tightening around the cool metal of the doorknob. The weight of the moment pressed against her chest, a cocktail of fear and determination brewing within her. With one last glance at Scout, whose eyes mirrored her anxiety, she pulled the door open. As the door swung wide, Mia was met not by her father but by an unfamiliar figure, an older man, stooped, yet with an air of authority that sent a shiver racing down her spine. The glint in his eyes hinted at knowledge long kept hidden, secrets tethered to her family. There was no mistaking it, this was someone from the past she had yet to confront. "Are you Mia?" he asked, his voice gravelly but steady. "Who are you?" Mia shot back defensively, her pulse quickening, instincts on high alert. "Let's just say," the man started, stepping closer, "I've been looking for you. There are things you need to know, things your father hasn't told you." Mia's mind raced. Every fiber of her being screamed to slam the door shut, to retreat back into the comforting chaos of her home, but she stood resolute. She had come here seeking the truth, and this unexpected encounter might hold the key. "What do you mean?" "I have information about the incident. Your family has a history, one that's intertwined with mine," he said, lowering his voice as if the walls might overhear. "You deserve to understand the truth, understand what your father has kept hidden from you." "Why now?" she demanded, the tension mounting. "Why come to me of all people?" "Because the past won't stay buried forever." The man's expression darkened. "If you really want to heal, to reclaim your identity, then you need to hear my story." Mia felt a rush of conflicting emotions, fury over her father's silence, curiosity about this stranger's claims, a siren call from deep within urging her to learn more. Could she trust him? The debate raged inside her, but that very chaos ignited a fierce determination. "Fine," she replied, pushing the door open wider as uncertainty morphed into resolve. "Let's talk." The man stepped inside, pausing to glance around the cluttered room, as if assessing the remnants of her family. "This place hasn't changed much since I last visited," he murmured, nostalgia lacing his tone. Mia felt a chill run down her spine. What did he know? She chose to ignore the brewing storm of questions and focused instead on her next move. "Start from the beginning," she urged, her voice firm. "What happened?" He began recounting a tale steeped in betrayal and pain, stories of family connections, of bonds twisted through secrecy. At each revelation, Mia felt another thread of her childhood unravel. The information was debilitating and empowering. It stirred anger over the lies and pointed her toward reclaiming her story. As the conversation wove deeper, moments of clarity surged through her hidden capabilities and untapped strength emerged alongside her father's haunting shadows. She had spent years feeling inadequate, but now, details of her family's struggles began to unveil a strength she never understood she possessed. The more he spoke, the more Mia realized that these revelations weren't just about revelation, they were an invitation. An invitation to reshape her future rooted in truth rather than fear. "Why didn't my father speak of any of this?" she asked, the seams of her past fraying dangerously. "He was afraid," the man replied softly. "Fear can be a more paralyzing force than any enemy." With those words, another layer of understanding unfolded. Fear might have clung to her family like an anchor, but she felt the buoyancy of courage rising within her. What if this was her turning point? What if she could finally confront not just her father, but also the choices that had molded her existence? As the conversation continued and the shadows of her past grew longer, an undeniable truth settled within her. This was the moment she needed to seize, not just for herself, but for the relationship she craved with her father. But just as she felt the fabric of her reality begin to reshape, a loud crash echoed from the direction of the front door, jerking her from the depths of her contemplation. What new revelation awaited? Was this another visitor from the past, or could it potentially be her father, the truth crashing down alongside him? With her heart pounding once more, Mia exchanged a glance with Scout, determination flickering back to life. Whatever it was, she was ready to face it head-on. In this moment, she learned that true fortitude lay not in avoiding conflict but rather in the willingness to confront it. As she walked toward the doorway, confidence coursing through her, she understood that her journey had only just begun. Whatever lay ahead would define not only her relationship with her father but carve out a new identity for Mia, one that emerged unapologetically bold from the ashes of unresolved struggles. What awaited her on the other side? The deeper truth simply wouldn't wait. As Mia approached the front door, her heart raced. Each step felt heavy, as if the air had thickened, filled with unspoken tensions ready to erupt. She grasped the doorknob, and for a brief moment, hesitation struck. Would she be ready for whatever lay behind that door? Surely, she couldn't let fear spiral back in now. Not when she had stepped so far into the truth. Taking a deep breath, she flung the door wide open. A gust of wind rushed past her, swirling around Scout, who sat poised beside her, alert and ready for action. Yet, the figure before her was not that of her father, but another stranger this time, a younger man. He looked disheveled and frantic, as if he had just bolted from a dangerous situation. "Mia!" he exclaimed, eyes darting between the familiar features of the old man in the room and the open doorway. "You have to come quick. It's..." His voice dropped to a whisper, as if the walls themselves could betray him. "It's your father." A wave of icy dread washed over Mia. "What about my father?" He's been involved in something bad. You need to trust me on this." His urgency sliced through the competing echoes of her emotional upheaval. Before she could respond, Mia felt the weight of the old man's presence at her side, his hand on her arm. "You don't know him," he warned, his tone dripping with skepticism. "He could be leading you into further danger." Mia hesitated. Torn between two conflicting realities, the old man's authority and the young man's frantic plea collided inside her head like a wild storm. Both represented narratives she needed to unpack, but where did her loyalty lie, and whom could she trust? "What's happening?" She finally demanded, the steadiness of her voice surprising even herself. Your father was seen at the scene of an incident, the young man rushed, trying to maintain eye contact. You need to come with me now. I promise I'll explain everything, but we have to move. Mia's gut twisted. The prior revelations hung heavy in her mind. Her father had hidden layers of his life from her, but could he truly be involved in something criminal? She had long dreaded any thought of her father being imperfect, and yet, there it was, stark and unbearable. I can't just leave, she said, her voice trembling as the feelings of betrayal surged within her. There's so much I don't know. She turned toward the old man, seeking his counsel. What should I do? I'll stay here and continue to guide you, he said, his eyes steady and calm, but there was a flicker of concern in his voice. But don't ignore what this young man is saying. It might be the key to unraveling this web of deception. For a moment, everything felt suspended. Mia glanced at Scout, who remained poised, loyal, and ready for whatever direction she chose. The decision weighed on her like a stone, but deep inside, a fire ignited, a craving for clarity laced with the hunger for independence and the truth. What's the plan? She asked the young man, straightening her posture, choosing action over paralysis. We get to the car, and I'll explain on the way. We're not safe here. With resolve burning through her, Mia took a step forward, bypassing the hesitation that had threatened to consume her. This was her journey now, and regardless of how tumultuous the path might be, she wouldn't shy away from confronting the chaos ahead. As they moved briskly toward the door, Mia felt a surge of empowerment. She was ready to unearth the layers of her father's life, no matter how painful. As she crossed the threshold, letting the young man lead her away, she knew that deeper truths awaited them both. But even as courage pulsed through her veins, the echoes of a family's entangled history surged ominously just beyond her reach. The encounter with this stranger might have been the catalyst for answering some of the questions she had long ignored, but with each step, new uncertainties bubbled to the surface. What lay ahead felt like a labyrinth where shadows danced, spilled secrets confronted her, and unearthing the past might very well shape her future. Yet, in that moment of frozen anticipation, Mia knew she stood at the precipice of a revelation that could reshape everything, secrets waiting to erupt like a dormant volcano ready to unleash its fury. What awaited Mia in her father's absence, and could she truly prepare for what she was about to discover? The tension in the car was palpable. Mia sat in the passenger seat, her mind racing alongside the vehicle's speed. The young man, whom she still barely knew, gripped the steering wheel with urgency, darting glances between the road and her. Each swerve around a corner felt like a twist in the unfolding mystery, and Mia wrestled with doubts spiraling in tandem. What's your name? She finally asked, forcing the words through the thick air of uncertainty. Ethan, he replied, his jaw clenched. We can't waste time. Your father needs you. Her instincts were on high alert. What do you know about him? Why should I trust you? I was there, Ethan said, his gaze heavy with gravity. At the scene we need to get to. I saw him, Mia. He was in a situation that could change everything you think you know about him. The sharpness in his voice stirred something deep within her, a raw, pulsing need for answers that could no longer be ignored. Can we just take a moment to breathe? I need to process, she muttered, struggling to wrap her mind around the truths she had yet to confront. Processing won't save him. Right now, we've got to focus on what's at stake, he replied, and she could sense the urgency radiating from him. As they sped towards an unknown destination, Mia's heart was a cocktail of disbelief, anger, and determination. How could her father be embroiled in all of this? Doubts about her upbringing crept in, igniting questions about the very core of her identity. She had been raised to believe in her father's integrity. Her loyalty felt threatened, but so did the clarity she sought. Scout shifted in the back seat, his breathing even but alert, sensing Mia's growing agitation. How had she jumped from being confident in her decisions to spiraling into this chaotic search for truth? She needed to reclaim her direction. "What do you need from me, Ethan?" she asked, her voice steadier now. "I need your help to connect the dots," he said, his gaze locked on the road ahead. "There are dangerous people who want to keep the truth hidden. You're his daughter, they'll be more likely to listen if you're there." Mia inhaled deeply, letting the implications sink in. This wasn't just about her father anymore, this was about her own agency and the legacy she wanted to inherit. Who was she willing to become in light of her father's secrets? With every mile they covered, Mia felt a shift within herself. She was beginning to understand that this confrontation was not just about uncovering her father's misdeeds, but also defining her own values and convictions. What kind of person did she want to be? Victim or agent of change? As they reached a suburban neighborhood, Mia's foot tapped nervously on the floor mat. "Are we close?" A blend of anticipation and dread fluttered in her chest. "Just around the corner," Ethan said, his attention sharp. "Remember, you need to stay strong no matter what you find. You'll learn more about him in a few minutes than you have your whole life." Was she ready to hear whatever revelation awaited her? The colossal implications weighed on her. Would she understand him, or would she see him as a foreign entity? This was what she had sought, and yet, she was terrified of the potential fallout. "Okay," she steeled herself. "No matter what he did, he is still my father. I need to approach this with an open heart, no matter how much hurt lies beneath." But would her open heart withstand the truths that were about to shatter it? They turned into a dimly lit cul-de-sac filled with shadows, and Mia's heart thudded louder than ever. What awaited her felt like the edge of a precipice, a leap into the unknown. And as the car came to a halt, a chilling realization settled over her. The moment when all her questions would collide with grim reality was about to arrive. But what truth could withstand the storm of betrayal? Ethan turned to face her, the intensity in his eyes challenging her resolve. "Are you ready?" The question echoed in her mind, shaping her resolve. Would she find clarity, or would the answers lead her further down a path of darkness? In that fleeting heartbeat of an instant, she braced herself for the unraveling of a story that was all too personal. The time had come to confront her father's shadows head-on, and along the way, perhaps discover who she truly was becoming. Mia's heart thundered in her chest, the weight of impending revelation nearly incapacitating her. The shadows cast by the streetlights danced eerily around them, heightening the swirling unease that gripped her mind. She shifted in her seat, grappling with the uncertainty that wrapped around her like a vice, squeezing tighter with each passing second. Ethan maintained an unyielding gaze, his features etched with tension. He exuded an intensity that both frightened and fascinated her. She studied him, realizing for the first time that his certainty sparked something deep within her. He was a stranger, yet he seemed to possess the clarity she desperately sought. "Let us do this," Mia finally proclaimed, her voice cutting through the silence. With resolve settling in, she opened the car door and stepped into the chilly night air. The cool breeze nipped at her skin, bringing her focus back to the urgency of the moment. Ethan followed close behind, and together, they approached the looming figure of a modest house nestled at the end of the cul-de-sac. The surrounding atmosphere felt thick beneath a blanket of anxiety and anticipation. "I need to know what happened," she stated, her breath steadying her nerves. Across the street, a street lamp flickered, illuminating patches of the asphalt in an unsteady glow. "Stay alert," Ethan responded. "I'll take the lead. Just stick close." Mia's pulse quickened as they approached the house. What had transpired here? With every step, she was propelled into her own fears: fear of her father, fear of the truth, and fear that she might not like what she would find. Ethan led the way around to the back of the house, where a flicker of light pierced the darkness. He gestured for her to wait, and she obeyed, her instincts screaming for caution. While he peered into the window, Mia's mind spiraled. What if her father was someone she could barely recognize? Or worse, what if he was involved in something unthinkable? Each thought weighed heavier than the last, a dark tapestry weaving together betrayal and disbelief. "Get ready," Ethan whispered, pulling her from her reverie. The door creaked open, revealing the interior cloaked in shadows. The light flickered again, shadows dancing like hidden secrets, beckoning her deeper into the unknown. As they entered, Mia's senses heightened. The air was thick with an unfamiliar tension, ripe with urgency. Her eyes scanned the surroundings, pictures on the wall, little reminders of a life that once filled their home. Were those memories still valid, or had they been tainted by lies? Ethan led her silently through the dim hall, each creak of the floor beneath them echoing her rising apprehension. He reached a door at the end and paused, casting a glance back at Mia. "No matter what you see, remember who you are. Your father is still your father, despite everything." His words plummeted into her with profound resonance. Who was she indeed? Was she merely her father's daughter, or was there more to her identity than that? This moment held the potential for transformation, not just for her father, but for herself as well. She chose to embrace the challenge before her, wanting to carve her own identity even in the face of uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, Mia nodded, steeling her determination. Ethan twisted the doorknob and pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit room. Inside, shadows loomed, and the air buzzed with expectation. "Mia," Ethan cautioned, his voice low. "This is where it gets dark." As they stepped inside, a figure emerged from the shadows, the familiar face of her father shimmering into focus. His expression, however, was something she had never seen before, haunted, desperate, yet filled with an urgency that connected them in ways she had long sought but never understood. "Mia," he started, voice trembling. Just then, a deafening sound echoed through the room, causing her heart to race. Was this the moment everything inside her shattered and reformed? Suddenly, she grasped far more than simple familial ties. As she stepped further into the room, she felt her perception shift, a door in her mind beginning to crack open. "What else are you hiding?" she demanded, her voice now unyielding. The truth was about to unravel, and she was desperate to understand the man before her not just as a father, but as someone whose story intertwined with her own. Would she be able to bridge the chasm of betrayal and find her own footing amidst the chaos? In that moment, the stakes rose higher than ever as she braced herself to confront the reality of her origins. The confrontation was just beginning, and with it, the potential for a revelation that could transform not just her understanding of her father, but of herself as well. Would she emerge from this encounter stronger, or would it only serve to deepen the shadows of her existence? The weight of possibility pressed down on her, and the threshold of belonging awaited her next step. The room pulsed with an intensity that was almost tangible. Mia stood anchored to her spot, heart racing as she absorbed her father's disheveled appearance. The shadows around him were draped in concern and despair, yet she could see flickers of the man she had once known, vulnerable, afraid, and desperately seeking solace in his daughter's presence. "Mia," he croaked again, his voice laden with regret. It was a sound that ignited something within her, a yearning not just for answers but for a connection that had been stifled by years of silence and pain. "Why didn't you tell me?" she demanded, forcing the words out with a strength she hadn't realized she possessed. "About Grandpa, about the past, about everything." Each syllable echoed against the walls, frustration coursing through her. Her father took a hesitant step forward, misery etched across his features. "I was trying to protect you. I thought if you never knew, you could have a normal life. I didn't want you to become ensnared in our family's mistakes. By hiding it, you only worsened the damage." She shot back, standing her ground. "The truth is a burden I'm willing to carry better than living under the weight of deceit." He flinched as if her words were arrows piercing through the walls he had built around himself. "You don't understand," he pleaded. "It's not just about you or me. It's about the legacy of pain that could follow you. I refuse to let your fears dictate my life any longer." Mia's voice rang with newfound resolve. She felt Scout shift beside her, grounding her with his loyal presence. "I'm ready to face whatever comes next, Dad. All I'm asking is for you to trust me too." The moment stretched, the air suffused with the weight of their shared histories. "Trust," he echoed, his voice breaking, as if probing the profound meaning behind that simple word. "It's not easy, not for us." "I know," she responded softly, the anger ebbing to a mere undercurrent. "But together, we can either continue this cycle of hurt or finally dismantle it for good." For the first time since stepping into this tangled web of secrets, Mia felt the stirrings of hope. Creating a different future felt like a tangible possibility. She studied his face, searching for a glimmer of the man who had once laughed and loved, a flicker that hinted at his reliance on her as much as she relied on him. "Please," Mia continued, sincerity piercing through. "Let us confront this together." His eyes darkened, shadows of conflict battling within. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, he nodded. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." The single word hung between them, and the air crackled with unspoken revelations. Mia took a step closer, gently nudging the door until it creaked wider, allowing light to spill into their conversation. As her father began recounting the history steeped in pain and sacrifice, she found herself enveloped in his narrative. Every word unveiled layers of guilt, shame, and the scars of his own upbringing, details that had previously evaded her grasp. In listening, she began to feel an almost immediate connection bridge their worlds, crisscrossing between generations of struggle and the profound desire for understanding. The deeper they delved, the more Mia's own identity crystallized. She was not just fighting the shadows of her father's past, she was asserting herself within the narrative. The realization that she had the power to redefine her own choices resonated through her like a thunderclap. Scan after scan of her father's haunting stories brought forth a profound truth: darkness only retained its power when it remained unexamined. The burden of their family's past no longer felt like a weight she would bear alone. It transformed into shared grief, sparking the embers of resilience between them. As the conversation flowed, Scout remained faithfully by her side, the gentle comfort of his presence reminding Mia of her own evolution. She had conquered fears that had once kept her paralyzed, pushing through layers of hurt to attain clarity. No longer merely defined as a victim of circumstance, she emerged empowered by the raw currency of truth. Before long, with the dawn spreading tendrils of light across the horizon, Mia reached a decisive conclusion. "We can't erase the past, but we can shape our futures." There was no longer a sense of shame tethering her to a legacy of pain, rather, she felt the swelling pride of her own evolution. With a flicker of gratitude, she turned to her father, who in that moment looked more like a partner than a perpetrator. "We've got work to do," she stated, solid confidence ringing clear in her voice. "Yes," he replied, earnestness filling the space between them. "Let us begin anew. Together." Through their newfound alliance, the power of transformation unfurled before them. Mia felt lightness replace the dread that had long clouded her identity. The stories shared illuminated paths toward a future defined not by fear, but by strength and understanding. Finally facing the door, they stepped out together into the brilliance of morning light, a rebirth of sorts. It was the definitive moment of personal growth and familial reconciliation. This was the resolution Mia had long yearned for, an anchoring in the present that would allow her to step confidently into her own future. It would not be an easy journey, but with shared truths, bonds would be forged anew, ones destined to heal, to thrive, to redeem. She took a deep breath, holding her father's gaze with every ounce of the love that had been reignited within her. It was time to embrace everything they could become, together. "Now, there's something important you need to do. If you want to witness further incredible journeys of transformation and emotional depth, you need to subscribe now to the channel. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and ensure these stories reach more people who need to hear them. Comment below with your thoughts about Mia's journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who are also hungry for life-changing revelations. Let us spread this powerful message together.